Of all the games releasing next year underneath the Xbox Game Studios umbrella, South of Midnight from Compulsion Games looks to be the most interesting of the bunch. An utterly striking visual style, arcadey third-person action combat, and a deeply fleshed out setting within the American Deep South. I am beyond excited to get my hands on this game, but it also doesn't seem to be lighting many people's fire. So for that reason, let me lay out for you exactly why you should be excited for South of Midnight. Hey everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this video, and if you do enjoy it, consider supporting the channel by leaving a like and a comment, and if you want to see more content like this, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a future video. Let me just remind everyone right off the bat that the CEO of Compulsion Games, Guillaume Prevost, was a former Arcane Studios employee, so for all of my fellow Arcanites, this alone should be reason to pay attention to this game. But just in case that doesn't convince you, let's talk about some other really cool aspects of South of Midnight. Okay, so first things first, the art style. This game looks gorgeous. Compulsion Games have managed to perfectly capture the strange and abstract energies of stop-motion animation, combining that with highly exaggerated characters and eerie, gothic, southern landscapes and architecture. Comparisons have already been made between this game and films like The Nightmare Before Christmas and Coraline, and the Compulsion team even visited an animation studio that specializes in stop motion in order to perfectly capture that macabre sense of movement. Beyond just the animation, the game has a wide color palette that is both beautiful and haunting, echoing the strange sense of comfort and unease among many of the abandoned quarters of the Deep South. Places with a rich and sometimes dark history that have an important story to tell. Based on what we've seen of South of Midnight thus far, I'd say Compulsion Games have nailed the atmosphere of this unique real-world locale. As a personal note, while I did not grow up in the Deep South proper, I did grow up adjacent to this part of the United States, and so much of the style you would find in places like Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and North Carolina bled into my home state of Texas, and I was able to get a small sampling while in my youth, and it has informed my personal likes and dislikes for much of my life. In this way, South of Midnight, without having even played it yet, is a deeply personal game for me, as I have so much love for the people, the culture, the food, and the traditions of the Deep South. Now, at first glance, gameplay-wise, South of Midnight plays like your typical third-person action game, but with a few wrinkles thrown in to help it stand out from the pack. Combat will be arena-based, as you face off against creatures known as haints, spirits corrupted by dark energy that aim to feed on our darkest emotions. Combat in South of Midnight features some good old hack and slash, with special abilities that the main character Hazel can use thanks to her innate weaver powers, where she can alter and manipulate the very fabric and tapestry of reality. Often, this means that when you cleanse an area of a level, you're restoring nature and life to your surroundings, which helps you to progress in the level while also serving a narrative purpose as Hazel heals the world around her. The fighting in the game looks comparable to something like the recent God of War titles, or even a Souls-like, where precise movement and dodging or parrying enemy strikes, along with clever use of your abilities, is key to survival. Environmental traversal and exploration will also be important touchstones in the moment-to-moment gameplay, but Compulsion has stated that they are opting for a open linear type experience where exploration will be present, but the game will for the most part follow a straightforward linear path as you progress through the story. Nowadays, we just don't really seem to get a whole lot of really solid third-person action-adventure games like we used to in previous console generations, primarily from Sony. I think of series from my childhood like Jak and Daxter Master, Ratchet & Clank, Sly Cooper, or even more recent franchises like Uncharted, among others. Games that had a really strong focus on a tightly paced and emotional story, while also providing an action combat loop that managed to be fun, while also remaining linear to help push that narrative roller coaster forward. I don't know, maybe I just really love this style of game, because everything that has been shown for South of Midnight is really appealing to me in more ways than one. The narrative of South of Midnight is also very important to keep an eye on, as it will be tackling some seemingly pretty heavy themes involving generational trauma, survivor's guilt, and primal fear of the supernatural, which makes South of Midnight's story far from a surface level affair if what we've seen so far and what Compulsion has described leads us to believe. Drawing on folk tales, myths, and urban legends of dangerous and disturbing creatures from the Deep South, and providing their own artistic spin has given the team at Compulsion Games the unique opportunity to tell a truly original story, unlike anything we've seen in gaming or otherwise film and television. Lastly, we have to talk about music, because it will be playing an integral role throughout the experience of the game. Compulsion hired on composer Olivier Derivière, sorry if I butchered that pronunciation by the way, who has scored a variety of different game projects, but perhaps most notably and pertinent to this discussion is his work on Dying Light 2, where in that game, as you would explore the world and engage in that series' signature parkour system, the music would behave reactively according to how fast or how slow you were moving, whether you were in or out of combat, whether you were in a faction stronghold, etc. Olivier is bringing back that reactive soundscape, but turning it on its head for South of Midnight to make something completely different. You see, each area you explore will have a major boss creature that has a unique piece of theme music attached to them that both describes their history in the lyrics, while also giving a sense of rising tension as you move towards an inevitable confrontation, where the music finally swells and reaches its epic climax as you battle a monstrous beast to cap off each level of the game. The music has that traditional southern feel and guitar twang that you would expect from that area, and it also features many vocalists that hail from the Deep South, providing their lyrical abilities to particular songs to further illustrate this wider story that Compulsion Games are trying to tell. As described by the creative director, they wanted to capture this feeling that the music is the universe of the game speaking to both Hazel, the protagonist, and you as the player in a way, which is just such an intriguing concept that I can't wait to see how it plays out in the full release. These are just a handful of things that got me really hyped about the upcoming South of Midnight from Compulsion Games, and if you haven't already, I highly recommend you watch the behind-the-scenes documentary for the game, Weaving Hazel's Journey, which is an honest-to-goodness, transparent look at every aspect of the making of this game, and it has gotten me even more excited to play it myself when it releases sometime next year. What do you think about South of Midnight? Is this a game you're interested in checking out in 2025? Is this game one that you'll be ignoring for other more interesting titles? Leave a comment down below and let's get a conversation started. If you enjoyed this video, once again, be sure to leave a like on the video and consider subscribing to the channel if you want to see more coverage of South of Midnight from me or other similar games in the future. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you always know when my newest video is available. And remember that the outsider walks among us. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.